Hey, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to continue building on our Form 4 SEC tracker. So far, we are backfilling company data. We're assigning tickers based on central index keys. We're kind of like backfilling the companies, and we're ready to start working with actual filings. So I wanted to talk about the process for taking in a filing using this Ruby gem to interact with the SEC. Called SEC Query, and then once we get back the filing, we want to parse that. And I actually wrote this parser like way back in I think 2012 or 2011. So it's really old. It's like it's definitely more than 4 years, probably 6, 7, 8 years old. Some code. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to be really cringy and embarrassed by the choices that I made a long time ago, but we'll probably do a little bit of refactoring of that old parser. And then we're going to create some active record models that we can use to put that data inside of. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do was just take a look at this. So this is the SEC Query Gem, and this is a little script that lets you pull the most recent SEC filings. So if we take a look at what this does for us in, oh gosh, I copied too much. So if we see what this does for us inside of Rails console, if we look at filings now, you'll see that it gives us these instances of SEC filing objects that have a link. And this link is to an SEC filing. So this is kind of what they look like. Again, they're these SEC documents, which are sort of like XML kind of. And we want to parse this XML into actual data. And so I already have this a persister or like a parser that I wrote a long time ago. So we can take a really quick look at this. So in lib SEC4, I copied over a bunch of tools that I've already built. So if we look at the filing parser, so we initialize it with a filing, and then we create a bunch of these little objects here that will deserialize into actual structs, like Ruby structs. So I can say SEC for filing parser dot new, and then pass in a filing, filings.first, and then I can say this is like our parser. Now if I say parser dot I think it's parse, that should give us back this SEC4 ownership document. And this is an instance of a struct. So I used a bunch of structs to sort of like deserialize into. But this tells us what the document type is, the period of report. It breaks out like all of the transactions for the document. So we can take this parsed filing. And so if I wanted to, so the most recent command I ran was p.parse, right? And that like actually grinds on the data a little bit. So one trick that you might have encountered is that you can use the underscore to refer to the output of the previous command. So I'm going to say the document is equal to underscore. Now I can say like doc.as JSON or something to see it as JSON data. So it's just converting that struct into JSON. And I wanted to kind of explore this and just look at it and see what types of data we might want to store on some like internal model in the database so that we can more easily query for this. Ooh, this is exciting. Look at this, Coinbase. So Coinbase went public this past week, which was sort of exciting. And this is actually a Form 3A, which we don't care about. So the first thing is we're going to want to like filter those filings to ensure we're only looking at Form 4s because we only really care about Form 4s. We're just going to limit the type of forms to those. But then we want to track like what other data do we want out of this thing. So period of report, that feels like the day that it was filed. Is it subject to section 16? Issuer name, issuer central ID, the trading symbol. So there's a bunch of data here that we're probably going to want to store, and we want to think about how that's going to be related. So let's keep doing this, but let's try to find a filing that is a Form 4 filing. So filings is this array that we got back from recent. And let's actually just do filter, and we'll say f.term is equal to 4. And that should give us back only Form 4 filings. Then we'll say like .first, and then we'll say this is going to be our filing that we care about. And then let's reparse an instance of that. So SEC for filing parser.new filing.parse, and we'll store that into doc. Okay, so this is going to be an actual Form 4 filing, and why I wanted to do that is because this will give us each individual transaction that happened on that Form 4, as well as some, it should be giving us some like totals or some like sum of their trades. So let's do doc.as.json and take a look. Yeah, so here you'll notice that like we have the sum of the shares that were traded, the sum of their shares after this trade. So this tells us like how much they were buying or selling relative to their like existing holdings. And then we can see each of these different codes represents a certain like filing type, and we can see which like how many, what percentage. So what is the percentage that were code P versus code S versus V versus all of these others. So I think what we might want to do is actually just store like all of this data on an instance of like a Form 4 object. So I think we want to create a Form 4 object that has all of these fields. And let's see. Yeah, for each transaction, we'll probably want to create like a transaction model that's related to the Form 4 that has all this data that we can then query. And then, yeah, if it is a director, officer, 10% owner, or is it some other owner? And then we definitely want to grab the title of the officer. So yeah, I think let's start building a Form 4 model that will be our top level model, and then that will have like some related things. So let's do that. So RailsG model Form 4. I'm just going to say generate the model like this, and then we're going to go and edit this create Form 4's migration directly to add all of these different pieces of data. So let's track. I don't think we care about the schema version, but let's track it anyway. That's like the version of how that XML schema is set up. So t.string schema version. Let's grab the document type, t.string document type. Let's do the period of report, t.date period of report. Not subject to section 16. I actually don't care about that. The issuer name. So we should kind of know the issuer name and the issuer's CIK based on, or like we could instead of storing the issuer name and issuer CIK, we should be able to like look that up as a company, or like look up, yeah, because we do have a company. Watch. We already have a company model, right? And this company model has a CIK, so we should be able to like associate those directly. And theoretically, we could have a Form 4 that relates to a company. But instead, what I want to do is just store the raw data, and then if we want to backfill and create like real foreign keys, we can do that. We might also just be able to directly relate based on this CIK foreign key thing. All right, so issuer's trading symbol. So t.string issuer trading symbol, t.string. This is going to be the owner's CIK. So this is the person who actually traded it. That's their ID. And this is their name. So the owner's name, t.string owner name, t.string owner address. I don't really, so we could store this as a string, or we could create like an address object. I think what we might do is just store, like we could just store all of this information from the street. Oops. We could say like street, comma, city, comma, state, comma, zip, or whatever, if we wanted to store that. In fact, like I'm just going to skip storing the address at all. Let's store it. Let's store the address. So we'll just store it like denormalized. So we'll store it as like one long string that has like a concatenation of all this stuff. Or shoot, I keep going back and forth. I wonder if this is going to be valuable in any way at telling us how good of a trader this person is. The other thing we could do is, instead of storing, yeah, okay, so technically we should probably not store this directly on the form. Instead, we should probably be creating a person object or a trader object for this person that has this CIK, and then relating that back to the Form 4. Okay, so yeah, let's actually do that. So let's say t.references, and then we'll say a insider, and then we'll go create a model for the insider. So let's actually do that here. Create table insiders, do T, and we're gonna want their CIK, their name, and then their address. Let's just denormalize here. So we'll say like address line 1. Okay, and state description. Nah, we'll just leave that off. Okay, and then we'll do t dot timestamps. Okay, so this should create a table for insiders. We're gonna need to go create the model manually for insiders. Let's do that before we forget. So if we go to app models, we'll create an insider.rb file. And here we'll say class insider, and this inherits from application record. And we'll leave it at that for now. All right, so then let's keep going here. So we're able to say t.references insider, and we'll associate to a given insider, and we'll look them up by their CIK when we're kind of like iterating over this stuff. And let's do the same. Let's do the same for company. Let's do it the right way. So t.references company, and yeah, we'll just look up the company, which, as we know, has many tickers. Let's actually keep, let's keep the t.string. Let's just keep the ticker symbol so that we have something. Actually, let's also, I want like a couple different ways to go back and look up the company in case we don't have the company already, or for whatever reason. We could be able to create the company off of this data, theoretically. When we're backfilling if something happens. All right, let's keep going. So is it a director? T dot Boolean. T dot Boolean for, is it an officer? Is it a 10% owner? Is other, and then the officer's title. This is important. T dot string the officer's title. The officer's title is actually surprisingly a surprisingly strong signal of whether or not the trade may have like some sort of information. So there's a couple of books if you're curious too about insider trading in general. Let's see. So the vital few versus the trivial many. This is a book by George Musea about tracking Form 4 filings and insiders. That's a really interesting one. There's also another one, Form 4 Michigan. There was a professor in Michigan who studied insider filings. I'm trying to remember the name of the book and the name of, here we go. Investment Intelligence from Insider Trading. Here we go. Yes, so this book is incredible. It's super, super good, and has like a ton of information about like there's a lot of reports and a lot of data backing up the fact that if you can find someone who is an insider at a company and follow and copy the trades that they've done in the past, if they have successfully made money off of their trades, then they're like good to follow basically. But it has a lot of information like, okay, if a CEO makes a buy and you copy that CEO, you're more likely to see higher returns than if it was like just a normal director. So like maybe it was like director of marketing makes a buy. If you copy the director of marketing, the likelihood that you're going to see returns is a little lower. So the officer's title does really matter. Okay, what else is here? So we've got transactions. So transactions is going to be another model we'll create. We'll come back and create that in a bit. We might want to have transactions and derivative transactions be two different models because they work a little differently. One of them is just like direct shares that are acquired or disposed of. And then the other one is going to be like options that are being exercised or whatever. Footnotes, that can be another separate table. And then here we have the sum of shares. So T dot, what is this, float? We can just make it an integer, I think. T dot integer for this. and then all of these, I'm just going to copy this. Okay. So all of these are going to be columns that tell us what percentage of their purchase was each of these codes. And I think I want to say these are floats. Let's try doing like last. See if we can get one. Doc.as JSON. Let's try to get one that has maybe some other kinds of trades. So filings. Yeah, let's get a few more filings here. So yeah, so we want to do this. Filings.push f if f.term is a form 4, and then let's make our limit and count 100 each. So we get a few more, and then if we say filings.filter f.term is equal to 4. Okay, so now filings is just going to have a bunch of form 4s in it, and we can iterate over those, or let's map them onto parsed filings. Filing parser.new f.parse, and let's also just call like dot as JSON. I like working with it in JSON, which is a little bit easier to work with. Why is this not? Oh, I wonder. Yeah, I bet we're getting rate limited. That's okay. Nope. Okay. So how do we do this? Let's just keep going. So yeah, I think this is going to be fine if we just make this yeah. Should we make it a float? Rails float. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. T.float. Sure. Okay. All right, so this is a table. It's going to have tons of columns, right? It's going to have a company ID, insider ID, and then like a bunch of data about the filing that actually happened. But it'll be a nicer format that we can query against, and we'll know which date it happened here because we have the period of report. Let's actually name this well, period of report is a little odd. Why don't we call it like filing date or filed at file date, file date. Sure. Okay. So we've got these two create table statements. Insider, we've got insider. Okay. So I think we also on insider are going to want to have an index on the CIK because we don't want to have duplicate CIKs. So add index insiders, CIK, unique, true. And I think that's fine. And then on this table, okay, so for the form 4, we need some sort of unique ID for the form 4. And in the columns that we were looking at so far, I don't think that we have a unique ID. So instead of just looking at the doc, I think we're going to need to add the filing, like the link to the filing or the ID for the file. Maybe we should just do file ID as like the unique ID for the file so that we don't like duplicate which filings we're looking at. In fact, like maybe we just grab the link and maybe we should put both on there, the link and the file ID. So t.string link and t.string file ID. And then we'll make sure that both of those are unique. So we're going to add some indexes. Add index to form 4s and we'll call it file ID unique true, and add index for form 4's link is unique true. Okay, I think we could just migrate this and then start playing around. We'll see. Rake db migrate. The table is going to be pretty massive, but I think that's okay. It should be fine. So now if we were to, oh, right, now we still need to create the transactions, right? So we need to create another model for a transaction. So let's do that. So Rails G model form for transaction. Okay. And we'll open that up. And this is going to have, what is this going to have? Doc dot as JSON transactions. Okay, so acquired or disposed, t dot string. Okay, yeah, I think that's right. And then, sure, nature of ownership. And code, oops. And shares. And security title. And direct or indirect. The form type. The equity swap involved. This is going to be the transaction date. And shares after. I'm assuming we're not doing any fractional shares, which is fine. And price per share. Okay, so then we've got all the data for the transaction, but we also need to relate it back to that form 4. So we can say t.references form 4, and that should create the foreign key back to the form 4. All right, I think that one's probably good. I can't think of anything that we would want to index on. So for now, that's probably good. Let's just call that good. And then does this one have any other? No, it doesn't have any derivative transactions. I think derivative transactions are going to be different. And I do think that we want to find one with that. So let's go through filings again. Filings. Let's actually just like open some of these up. Derivative. So we have the non-derivative table, and then there's usually a derivative table if there was a derivative filing. Okay, neither of those have it. Non-derivative. Okay, this one looks more interesting. Non-derivative. So this one has several non-derivative transactions. Yep, again, a bunch of non-derivative. Okay. Yeah, okay, so these all have just derivative, non-derivative. Non-derivative. Bunch of non-derivative. Some of them ended up having like tons and tons of transactions because they like have to sell a little bit at a time. Oh, okay, great. So this one has it. So 027,140, 027,140. So, how do we get to you? So, let's see where the file ID is this. So filings.filter where f.file ID is equal to this thing. First, that should give us our filing. And now if we say, We want to parse that into a filing, or we want to parse it into a doc. And now, whoop, 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Gosh, the rate limiting on this is pretty rough. So doc.as.json. So now we have several transactions, and we should also have, I believe, some derivative transactions. Yes. So now we have derivative transactions also. So we can say derivative transactions to dig into those. And you'll notice that this is like a little bit different because it has like a strike price, right? Oh yeah, so it has the exercise price. Okay, so let's make one of those. So Rails G model form for derivative transaction. Okay. And we'll open that up. And I think it's going to start out pretty similar to this one. We're going to want all the same stuff, right? Like acquired or disposed of, conversion or exercise price, float, and deemed execution date. I can't remember if we need to make them nullable or not. Exercise date, expiration date, underlying security, underlying security shares, nature of ownership is the same, code is the same, shares are the same, security title is the same, indirect, direct, okay. Equity swap, transaction date, shares after, price per share. Okay, cool. So we're good. This should work fine. Rake db migrate. Okay. All right. So we've got this parser. We've got our models. Now let's go walk through some code that will find recent filings and create form 4 objects and just kind of like persist them. So let's make another, I think we might have a job already that's just like not implemented. So in app jobs, we have fetch recent filings. So this just gives us the filing, the instance of the filing. And so what I think we want to do is, I mean, we could create like a separate class that's responsible for like persisting the filing. But instead, we'll just keep it easy. So we can say like SEC for filing parser.new filing .parse, and this will give us a doc back. So what we were running into earlier was that when we parse the filing, right, or yeah, when we call parse on the filing, that's going to go out and fetch the data from the SEC's website. And when we were doing that, it was failing with a 403 forbidden. So that happens. I think that's happening because we're getting rate limited. Instead of giving us back a 429, they're just giving us a 403 because you can just like retry the request in a couple seconds and it works fine. So one concern that I have is if we do it this way, right? Like every time we call parse, this is going to potentially raise an exception. So I don't actually know which one it is. Let's see if we can figure that out. Like if we just start calling parse a bunch of times. Is it not going to happen now? Okay, let's try going like over all the filings again. So filings.map. Because I want to see what the actual exception type is so we can handle it. Yeah, so REST client forbidden, 403 forbidden. So let's just rescue that. And if we get one of those, we will just say like puts 403 error, try again later, and maybe we just sleep 1 or something. So on the SEC's website, it says that you can make 10 requests per second. So if we run into this exception, we'll just sleep for a second and then try to keep going. So I'm going to create the doc above with nil so that when we assign the variable here, and try to use it outside of our begin rescue block. We have access to it. And what did we want to do? We want to say like doc. Okay, so one option is we can just call like doc.isDirector, I think, right? And that will just give us back the raw data. So I'm kind of wondering if we can just say like form4 is equal to form4 dot find. Okay, so yeah, we want to like find or create this. So okay, a couple things. First, we like only consider form4s. So we want to say like next if filing.term does not equal 4. Okay, so then if it doesn't equal 4, and then we also want to say next if form4.find by link is equal to filing.link. Because if we already have a filing, then we don't want to like re-ingest it. So this will give us like 2 filters in the beginning that should just go to the, like it should, this kind of like is sort of like saying return from this block so that we can just continue. All right, so now we're going to say, let's try to parse it. We'll like go fetch it and parse it. And if we were able to successfully parse, we want to say like form4 is equal to, right, because this one, yeah. So let's say, so we'll say form4.new, and we're going to go through and populate the whole thing. So link is filing.link, and then file ID is filing.file ID. And let's see. So yeah, I want to see all the different columns that we added to form4. So what I want to do is let's actually just see if we can get this to save. So form4.save bang, and then we'll just run this job and say .perform now. Okay. So then we can say form4.count, and it's 0, 0, 0, 0. Exit. Let's reload Rails console just so we can see. Okay, so perform now. So we should be fetching these, right? So we're gonna say like, let's actually just print like puts recent filing, and then we'll just print out like filing.file ID. And then here we'll say like puts not a form4, and then next, and then here, oh, we need to say if we can't find it, then puts form4 already exists. All right, just to give us a little bit of debugging. Reload. Perform now. Okay, so it's not a form4, not a form4. And now if we do form4 already exists, form4 already exists. Is that true? Form4.count. Yeah, no form4s have been created yet. So find by link. Oh, if it's not, no, dang. Okay, reload. Let's try this again. All right, perform now, and it should have created 2. Okay, great. So it says record not unique. This already exists. Key with that file ID already exists. So do several of the forms that were returned have that same ID? Let's see. So we found recent filing. Okay, so it does look like it was the same ID, doesn't it? So it says recent filing was here. Okay, and that does look exactly the same as this. So it's saying, let's see, recent filing. So we inserted into form4, we gave it the link and the file ID, created that, updated that, and that was it. So we inserted this link and file ID, and then when it tried to do the next one, it said, oh, that's the same ID. So it shouldn't have done that, but I thought that, yeah. So our check here, I don't think this check, is it a different link actually? Let's see. Maybe the file ID is the same, but the link is different. Okay. So this was the link for the first one. And this was the link for the second one. And they are indeed different. Okay, so, oh, you know what? I bet one is for the issuer and one is for one is for the company. Company conformed name. Okay, what is the difference between these two? Okay, let's pull them down and see what the difference is. So, and this one, we'll put that into like second.text. Oops. Okay, so get diff 000 with second.text -- no index. Cat second.text. Oh gosh. So get diff that one with this one, no index. Okay, there's no difference between the two. So as long as we have that file ID, we should be good to go. So let's, instead of looking by link, we want to look by file ID. So filing.file ID. Okay, so that's cool. That should help us, I think. So let's reload and then rerun this. And form4.count 1. So that's cool. That's great. So let's, at least we've got some logic. We've got some logic working here. So now instead of just putting in the link and the file ID, we want to populate all the data. So let's run our annotate, method here, which, oops. So we don't actually have this yet. So in development, I'm going to add annotate. I love this gem. It adds some comments that will allow us to see which columns are on a specific model. So be annotate models. Okay. All right, so let's see. So we're gonna pass in the schema version, which is gonna be doc.schema version document type doc.document type file date doc.file date issuer CIK doc.issuer CIK. All right. Okay, insider. So we're going to need to like find or create the insider too. All right, so this is actually going to be quite a bit of logic. That's okay. All right, just trying to use Vim to get all this stuff in the right line, and then we should be able to write a little macro. So I'm going to use, let's see, so insider is going to be the insider, and then everything else, so isDirector should come off of the doc. So I'm going to write a macro. So I can, in Vim, I can say like QQ to create or like start recording the macro. So I'm starting it on the far left edge on purpose of the editor here. So I'm going to say like W to find the word, yank in word, and then I'm going to go to the end, put a colon, and then a space, and doc dot, and then I'm going to escape, hit P for paste. Then I'm going to go after the end, put a comma, escape, down, and then hit 0 to go to the beginning, and then I'm going to hit Q again to stop recording. And now I can say at Q, and that will like replay the macro. And so if I figure out how many lines I need to do that for, so what is it, like 24 at Q, and that will like run the macro on all of those lines. Ah, I love it. I missed one down here, so I can just say at Q, and that's done. So that should create our form 4. So if there's no insider, so if insider.nil, then we want to like create the insider. So insider dot create bang, and we're going to pass in. So there's quite a bit of information that is available directly on here too. So we can say CIK is equal to doc.owner CIK. And let's see, name is doc.owner name. Address, line 1 is going to be doc.owner address. I think we can get it through here. Let's see. Doc, okay. Here, this thing. doc.owneraddress.street1. I just want to make sure that I can use this dot notation to drill into the struct like that. So street1, street2, and then so if the company's nil, we want to kind of blow up here and just say like, well, for now we can just say like no company with doc.issuer sick found, and then we'll say next, just to keep it easy. We'll just no-op it. It's just best effort here. All right, so let's see what we can do with that. So if we run this, let's actually make this grab, let's say 30, and Rails C. We just want to run fetch recent filings that perform now, and we're missing something. Okay, what are we missing? Per code U. Maybe we're missing a comma. There we go, missing comma. All right. Oh, boom, exploded. Okay, so issuer sick for nil class. Interesting. So if, if doc.nil puts like failed to parse, I guess maybe it could have encountered some other exception here. Puts failed unknown or something. So reload. I'm guessing there's something is failing And let's figure out why. Okay, so no method error, undefined method issuer CIK for nil class, which happens here, which we should put down below this check. All right, so fail to parse. Let's also print out like the filing ID, or actually the filing link, filing.link, so that we can take a look at it and see what's up. And run again. Undefined local variable or method company. Okay, right, because this needs to happen before this. Okay, so no company with that ID found. Oh, right, because when we backfilled companies, right, like we so this, it's possible this is a new company, right? Because the last time we backfilled companies, we didn't have Coinbase because Coinbase just went public. So I'm guessing this is like the Coinbase CIK. If we were to come up here and just drop that in, is that going to give us some data? Let's see. Okay, so that's actually going back pretty far. Text. Yeah, so it is Coinbase. Okay, so let's run our backfill companies and see if we get a new company. Company.count 7,741, and we have another job here which is called backfill companies job. And .perform now. Let's we keep getting these 403s because we're hitting the API too quickly. But all right, so as that's going, that takes quite a while because we're running through like a bunch of indexes for filings. So while that's going, I'll open up another Rails console, like another instance of Rails console, and just see company.count, see if company count is going up at all. The other thing we can do is, now that we've run backfill companies, we should probably be able to just go like, only do 2021 again. So let's actually kill this, reload, and then rerun it just from 2021 for Q1, 2, 3, 4, just so that we don't have to hit too many things. Rails console, company.count. So there we go. Yeah, so 77,400. Yeah, okay. So we're definitely adding new companies here, which is cool. So a couple things, like I'm trying to decouple the concept of ingesting a company and the concept of ingesting a filing. We are sort of ingesting insiders as part of finding the filings, but I've found that like by breaking those things apart, it's a little bit easier to manage these separate processes, and you don't really find new companies too often, or like new companies aren't added too often, but new insiders are added pretty frequently. So having the insider addition be part of the filing, like part of discovering the filing, and then having ingesting the company be its own thing we can run periodically, maybe like once per day, that works a little bit better. So in fact, like maybe we could do something where it's like, if we find a new company, then we or like if we encounter a company that we've never seen before, or a CIK for a company we've never seen before, we could kick off this background job and say like, okay, go run that and make sure that we have all the companies, all the recent companies. Okay, so I think we're actually form 4.count. Yeah, so I think we got a bunch of companies. So let's see if we can run this again. Fetch filings. .perform now. Okay. So let's increase our fetch recent filings to like 100 and 100, just to try to get some more data in here and see if we can populate a full form 4 object. with an existing company. Oh yeah, so now we're running into those 403s where we're getting rate limited every so often. I'm not seeing any insert statements. I'm only seeing query statements. So that's no fun. The other thing I'm wondering is if when we stored the CIK, if we stored it, I can't remember if we stored it as padded or not. So let's see if we can take a look over in another terminal. Company.last.cik. Okay, so we did strip the zeros. Shoot. Okay, so that's why we're failing here. So these CIKs, this is actually like quite annoying. Doc.issuer CIK.2i.2s. We'll do the same thing with insiders. Insider CIK is doc.owner CIK.2i.2s. That's just stripping off the leading zeros. There's like inconsistent formatting on the SEC's website, so we have to do this like weird dance here. Okay, so we're gonna reload and try again. Whoops, that looks like it did nothing. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, great. Yes, this is perfect. Okay, so that's a bug for sure. So file date, remember I changed it to file date from something else. If only we had kept it whatever it was. So no. Oh gosh, you know what? We need like a really easy way to grab this thing. Okay, so it was called like filing period or something like that. Let's just add a by bug here. And so insider.destroy all, form4.destroy all. Okay, so doc.as JSON or 2h.keys. Okay, period of report, that's what it's called. So instead of file date, it's period of report. Okay, let's try this again. Cool. Oh gosh, duplicate key on insider. Okay, so I probably need to like insider.count. Oh, right. So we don't want to actually create it. We want to find it. Find by CIK. If it's nil, then oh, this is wrong here. This should be insider CIK. Okay, try again. Unknown attribute company for form 4. Great. Okay, so when we created the form 4 object, we didn't actually set up the association. So we need to say form 4 belongs to a company and it belongs to an insider. And an insider has many form 4s and a company has many form 4s. I think we're getting close. We're getting close, and then we'll wrap it up once we're able to. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Awesome. 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 We are reading in form 4s. We're definitely getting rate limited for sure, but I think that's all right. So form 4 already exists. This is great. Okay, this is fantastic. So form4.count Nice, form4.last. Look at that. Okay, so we've got some nice data here. Okay, this is fantastic. All right, so we're reading in the form 4s for given companies. This is cool. So the next step that I want to do is go into our charts that we made a few episodes ago and then add these insider trades directly to the chart based on the dates. So we're going to do that in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching and sticking around. I know this was a long one, so appreciate your time and attention. And hopefully this is, I don't know, somewhat interesting. Kind of just like pulling in data, messing around with data, putting it into some models. Yeah, hopefully we can find some really interesting information out of these trades. And then, yeah, maybe we can just play around, buy and sell some stock. So we'll see you in the next one. All right, bye friends.